Previously on Backspeed, boys, I bought the cheapest V10 BMW M6 in the world from a scrapyard. And this car happens to be known as the most expensive and unreliable BMW ever made, but with its supercar-like qualities and its dirt cheap price, it was a no-brainer for me. 500 horsepower high-revving V10 coupe, derived from the BMW F1 race team? Sign me up. After replacing the battery and finding out that it runs like crap and doesn't move, I realized I may have bit off more than I could chew. So I replaced the spark plugs and coils and got it to run right, but it still didn't move. Then I tried to sell it, but then I realized I was being a pussy and I got back to working on it. We dropped the transmission and found the destroyed clutch and throwout bearing. We did a clutch job using an aftermarket spec clutch and readapted the trans and got the car running again. This put us about 50% forward, but we still needed to attack the Achilles heel of this car, the rod bearings. The factory defective component that could easily grenade this incredibly expensive engine. So today, we're going to take care of it. And luckily, we're getting massive help from our friends over at Lang Racing Development. Today we're at Lang Racing Development to do the rod bearings on our cheap V10 M6. So we got Ken here, he runs the place. They do all kinds of servicing. What kind of things does Pinnacle Auto Repair, Lang Racing really do?
Well, here basically what we do, we work on primarily German cars. We work on BMW, we work on Porsche. We also work on Mercedes and Audi, but we do engine building. We do race car building and just general service on cars. And we're glad to have your M6 here.
Now the rod bearing job is a big job and we're gonna get to that. But before we do that, let's take a look at what Lang has to offer.
Let's go. I want to show you the engine room. This is kind of where the magic happens. One of the things that we do at Lang is we build a lot of BMW engines. This is out of a E46 BMW, kind of like, 2002 to 2006 before they went into the V8. The great thing about this motor, this is the last on the M engines of the inline six naturally aspirated engines. Because now everything is turbocharged. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that love this engine because it still is naturally aspirated. So there's going to be fans of this engine for a long time coming. And just so you know, like I have this engine we're building. This one's coming up. We're building another S54 here. This is for another customer in Washington, S54. Another S54. This is an S54 that came to us from Barbados. We're going to do the head job on that. So people are building these engines all over the world. It's one of the most popular engines out there to build is this S54 engine. This one in particular here, it is going to be a turbo build when it's done. The customer previously blew a rod out the side of the block on the previous build from a different engine builder. So we're going to be building up this one. We got various engines going. Let me show you what else we've got coming. We're going to come over to the disassembly area. So on the engine I just showed you, this was the previous engine where the rod went through and he bent the valves here. When you're running a turbocharged engine, you're increasing the cylinder pressure tremendously, putting a lot more stress on the engine parts. All the other one is stuck in the block and gone. These rods that were originally in the car broke apart down at the rod bearing. So this is one of the reasons why that on the engine that we're doing now for your car on that M6 is that the rod bearings on the bottom, see what can happen on these is as they start to wear on the inside, you can see here on the inner portion here where the things start to wear. If it wears enough within these rod bearings, they go around here around the crank. So if they wear enough, what can happen is they can slide, and then you can get the rod bearing will spin. Well, you'll get the phrase where they say you've got a spun rod bearing on there. So what happens is this wears enough, it goes over the lip, and it spins around. Once it spins around, then you're going to have mechanical pressure on the rest of it, and then you're going to break the bottom part of the rod here. And what happened on this particular motor is the rod bearing spun, this came out, this went through the side of the engine block and broke. This is what we're trying to avoid with your M6 is also to go ahead and change out these rod bearings to make sure they don't wear enough to where it spins, breaks the rod, and breaks the whole motor and locks it up like this one did.
Which BMW has the most rod bearing issues that you guys service?
Okay, so on the rod bearing, we're doing a lot on the S54. Basically, all of those M engines from that era. Matter of fact, on the original S54 M3, they had a difference. BMW actually recalled and changed the rod bearing design on those first couple years because of the problems that they had with it. And it's mostly about the stress of how hard you're driving the car. And those cars go through a lot of stress. a lot of high RPMs in it. So that's kind of where the problem is. So most of the ones we're doing are either that V10, the V8, and the inline 6. This one's is more the modern. This is an N54 engine here. This one had to go out and be fully decked. So the decking is here. Because the original design of the block, if you can see where all of this pattern here is in the engine block, that was all open. So this has what they call an open deck design on the engine block. So in order to strengthen it and strengthen the cylinders, it's sleeved and it's decked and closed in so that the actual physical block is stronger than the way the block was originally. So all the stuff that we've got, we have cylinder heads that we have that are ready to be either reconditioned or ones that are already been done or ones that are wrapped in plastic. In case we need them to build an engine. We do have a full alignment rack, and we don't do any tires per se, but we can do like on your race car corner balance, we can do ride height adjustment, and then a full alignment. Like we've got one of our race cars that we're just finishing up. The next spot for it after it's completed over there will be in an alignment. So we do a lot of suspension adjustments like on our race team's car for different races, and so we need to put it on here for an alignment. We got this guy's car. Oh, he's already got the subframe out? Awesome. One of the things that we do here besides regular service is we do build race cars. This is a 96 M3. This particular car came back from the body shop from us with just the chassis, no engine in it, no transmission. Everything was stripped out of the car. We put the car completely back together, made a lot of improvements and changes to the car that the customer wanted, and the car is nearly completed now. One of the things they did at the body shop was change out the doors to a fiberglass door. Customer was looking for any way he could to make the car lighter because the engine itself is stock. Where could he get the advantage and leave the engine stock, same horsepower, was to lighten up the car. So it has fiberglass doors, has a carbon fiber roof that was installed at the body shop, carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber dash. So I think he's going to be real happy with it. So we're basically down to the final touches on this car. A few other things we need to add to it. It'll be on the dyno probably tomorrow, and then the customer's going to be racing in January. Okay, so this car is a Wolf prototype race car, open wheel. So this particular customer car, he was racing on a track and had one of those quick snap things where you lose the back end of it.
Yeah.
So he lost the back end of it, and then he ended up hitting this whole side, went right into the wall. Okay, right now the gearbox is out, the whole rear end is out of the car. All the parts for this are made in Italy, so we've waited months to get the parts. The parts are now here. We're going to be bringing this car in the next few days and putting it up on our system here and reassembling the whole car. And the other story behind this car, if you're interested, once it's reassembled, he's selling it, so you can buy it.
How much?
These run used probably about 100 to 150,000 depending on the configuration of the car.
Now obviously the M6 is in good hands, but let's take a look at my rod bearings. While everything's disconnected, we can see the bottom of that amazing F1 derived high revving V10 engine. I know it looks like those are aftermarket headers, but no, those are the stock headers from the factory, which is part of the reason why this car sounds so good, which you'll see in a few minutes.
Okay, we got two rod bearings out. You can see we have the lower one here, the upper one right here, and the upper one is showing copper already. So yeah, it's a good thing that we're getting to replacing this right now. They weren't completely collapsed yet, so that's good news. So far, no damage on the crank. Copper showing. Definitely time for replacement.
Now I want to thank our friends over at ECS Tuning for sending out a complete S85 rod bearing replacement kit. This comes with everything you need and more. Fresh oil change from yours truly, Liqui-Moly. We got new engine mounts which will come in handy later, you'll see. Genuine BMW rod bolts, ACL upgraded S85 bearings, new oil pan gaskets, a brand new steel braided Vanos line, and other replacement bolts and O-rings. We got everything we need to make this V10 M6 reliable and bulletproof. Now as more bearings come out, we start to see some more wear on them. You guys have to remember that these bearings are supposed to be replaced around 60,000 miles, and we're at 109,000 miles right now, way overdue. And the reason why I never drove it much after fixing the car, because I didn't want to push my luck. But now the new ones are going in, and the torquing process is very important. It's a long and careful process of torquing and loosening and retorquing, and you need a good torque angle wrench for this. I wouldn't dare using one of those junky torque angle tools you can buy at the store, which is basically what I did when building my LS. But an LS motor doesn't need to be nearly as precise as a BMW V10 engine.
Okay, so the first bearings that came out looked okay, not too bad. We just got another one out. This is cylinder number 3 right here. Top bearing, cylinder number 3. It's showing some wear, so it's a good thing we've got to this soon enough. I've had this car, basically we've had it running for what, over a month now, and I'm so tempted to go drive it, but this is exactly why we've waited, because this is a absolute necessity. Something you gotta do if you have the V8 M3 or the V10 M5 or M6. It just make sure you get this done. And if someone says that they got it done, it's not good enough. And even if they have receipts, people fake receipts all the time. So if you have a receipt, call the place that did it and verify it. Because if this goes out, you're looking at big money. Your engine will blow up. Once again, huge shout out to Andrew and Ken at Lang Racing for helping us out big time, because this is an essential component to that high revving V10 engine. If you have a BMW or a Mercedes or Porsche or European car and you want it serviced by good professionals, bring it here to Lang Racing. They'll take good care of you.
And just like that, the rod bearing job is done, and it's time to start putting everything back together. And when we look at all the old bearings, not all of them have the same wear pattern. Also, we notice that the top bearings usually tend to wear much more than the bottom. But some of these were ready to start giving us issues, so it's a good thing we got to it in time. Now it's time to start putting everything back together, and before putting the subframe back in, we're gonna have the engine mounts replaced. And one of them didn't seem too bad, but the other one was shot. Way too much play, so it's a good thing it's getting replaced. Time to put the fresh oil in, gotta refill the power steering fluid. Now it's time for the first start. Wow, it sounds better than before.
Okay, the rod bearings are done. Let's go take it out on the street and give it a little test drive.
Holy crap, guys, this thing sounds insane. It's crazy. For so long we saw this car just sit and on a lift and do nothing, and now it's freaking ripping up and down the street. This is only the beginning.
Dude, holy cow, you just put your foot down and like it just keeps going, and this thing revs pretty high. The only problem is it's way too quiet. I think we got to straight pipe it. Okay guys, there you have it. The M6 is fully running now. I gotta finish getting the title for it, all the inspections and all that stuff. That's too boring, so I'm not gonna show that part. But we have a running car that we can start straight piping. We could do all kinds of stuff too. Once again, special thanks to Lang Racing Development, Pinnacle Auto Repair. They helped us out big time. So if you have a BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, you want it serviced by the right people, take your car here. They know what they're doing. They build engines, they do all that cool stuff. They have BMW race cars, they know what they're doing. This build, bringing an abandoned BMW M6 that was in a scrapyard ready to be turned into a metal cube of trash, bringing it back from the dead, couldn't have been done without our sponsors, with the beautiful minds and people who believe in this project, who saw the vision that we had to help bring this. This is not something that me and Lenny could have done just purely on our own. This is something that's a massive group effort to really bring an amazing, beautiful, fantastic piece of German engineering back to life. And also huge thanks to ECS Tuning, Turner Motorsports, because they hooked us up with the full rod bearing replacement kit with the better bearings, the oil change kit, the engine mount, the Vanos line, all the other bolts that you need, full kit, everything you possibly need to make sure that your BMW could run reliably another 100,000 plus miles. So check them out. All the links will be down in the description, so go check them out. Make sure you like and subscribe. This is only the beginning for the BMW M6. We want to see it straight piped. We want to maybe see it supercharged. But most importantly, my 2025 goal is I want to get that car to 200 miles per hour. So we'll see if we can do it.